Hello everyone! Welcome back to our guide on the Rimworld of Magic, and potentially the worst one I have to make yet, because today we're looking at the Chronomancer. The Chronomancer is probably the most complicated class in Rimworld of Magic, and the one I'm most likely to get most wrong. The Chronomancer deals with the passing of events and time. The Chronomancer, unlike many of the other classes I've covered, has almost no combat abilities until they suddenly do, which is a very strange sentiment to say, but it's true. The primary ability of the Chronomancer is prediction. This enables prediction, a conscious effort dedicated to deciphering future events. Prediction has two components. First, is a self-awareness and intuition that makes the Chronomancer uncannily difficult to harm. However, this splits the attention of the Chronomancer and reduces their physical acuity and speed. So what this does is it gives them an increased dodge chance, but lowers their speed as well as their global work speed. The second effect focuses on the prediction of significant events. Indicators such as flights of birds, a cloud of dust, a sound in the wind are highlighted to the Chronomancer and woven together into a tapestry depicting a possible future. Neither method is infallible, but practice can improve the accuracy of prediction and reduce the focus required to sustain it. This requires 50% mana regen to be kept. So, this is part of what makes the Chronomancer such a hard class to talk about. We're going to turn on prediction. Right out of the gate, it lowers consciousness by 25%, lowers aim time, increases mental break threshold, but increases their melee dodge chance. As you can see, moving, manipulation, talking, eating, all of it is affected by consciousness, so lowering their consciousness so much is pretty bad. But now, Bug can kind of just get on with his thing, and there's a chance that he'll be able to predict major events that'll happen. We're going to turn the game up to 3 times speed, and we're going to talk about the ways in which prediction can be improved while we wait for a prediction to be made. Prediction can be upgraded in 3 different ways. Prime Cognition applies the power of prediction to safeguard the Chronomancer. This skill reduces the amount of mental focus required to remain in a precognitive state, while simultaneously increasing reaction speed to predicted dangers. This will decrease all of the debuffs while increasing the buffs. It also, at level 5, gives them a 55% chance to predict and avoid physical attacks altogether. So it increases their melee dodge chance and also makes it so they can just ignore about half of all attacks. River of Time reduces the amount of mana regeneration required to maintain prediction, and Third Eye increases the chance to predict an event by 5%. Each Chronomancer can only predict one event at a time. So we're gonna go ahead and pump that up to level 3. Bug's just gonna wander around, and we're gonna see if he can't predict some major event. While we're waiting on that, we're gonna talk about Chronostatic Field. Chronostatic Field, also referred to as a time bubble, places all living creatures within the affected area out of phase with the flow of time. Interaction with affected creatures is impossible until their return to the natural flow of time. What this does is essentially locks some enemies in place and makes it so that you can't harm them, nor can they harm anyone else. It can be upgraded in 4 different ways. Upgrading the ability itself increases the radius and the range, decreases cast time. Time Loop increases the duration by 20% per skill level. The base duration is 26 seconds. Good Timing decreases the cost of Chronostatic Field, and Time Catcher decreases the chance Chronostatic Field will be resisted. Resistance chance is modified by spell power and the target's resistances. So we can go ahead and cast Chronostatic Field on Rogan here. As you can see, he gets put into a little bubble where he cannot be clicked on at all. He cannot be selected anymore. He cannot be attacked. So if we try to have Bug attack him, we cannot. And he cannot be interacted with over this time. Chronostatic Field is an okay ability, and as you saw, it's an AoE, so it can hit multiple dudes at once. Alright, we're gonna slow down time real quick to take a look at our other 2 primary abilities here. Accelerate Time applies a field around the target where all physical matter rapidly ages. When applied to inanimate objects, the effect is instant and will deteriorate items significantly. This can cause an item to disassemble into its base components. There is no area of effect for this function. Only the object at the center will be affected What this allows us to do is to target any craftable weapon and break it down into its base components. For instance, if one of our opponents carried a Staff of Blazing Power, and we see it on the ground and one of the enemies is going for it, we can accelerate time on that object. And it has now been broken down into its constituent parts. I don't see this as being particularly useful at any point, but I'm sure it's got some sort of use. The next part of Accelerate Time, living tissue will resist instant change and require a more gradual approach. Any living pawn affected by this will have increased movement speed, manipulation speed. Neutral elements such as plants will experience rapid growth. As you can see, Rogan and I have happened across our friend Despair working on his farm. He's just started planting his corn, and it's gonna be a while before it all gets up and running. However, I think we can help him out by casting Accelerate Time. So, we target Despair with Accelerate Time. And as we can see, instantly the corn goes up to 34% grown, as opposed to all of the corn around it, which is at 6%. And Despair himself is now experiencing aging rapidly. Why is this good? So his manipulation's increased, his moving's increased, hunger rate offset is increased, and rest fall rate, so this is the amount you get from resting, increases. I'm not certain that's how rapidly aging works, video game, but I guess when you're doing it as a buff, it works. This is insane. So normally, corn is one of the least reliable plants you can plant. It has a very high yield, but with its grow time, it's just far too unreliable and subject to blight to really make it your primary crop. I mean, good on you, Despair, for trying, but with Accelerate Time, you can it has a cooldown of every minute, so about once every 3/4 of a day, you can just cast Accelerate Time directly on your corn. Having such a high yield plant with such a low turnover rate, it's insane. It's incredible. If you have a Chronomancer on your team and you have Accelerate Time, this can really improve your farms and make it so you can finally have sustainable corn. This says when used on friendly pawns, there is no area of effect, only the primary target will be affected. But as we saw, that's a little bit of a lie. I'm assuming it means it can only affect one friendly pawn at a time. When used at a location or on a hostile enemy, all enemies in the area will be cursed with rapid aging. This will drain rest and energy from the target, accelerate other health conditions, and may inflict age-related ailments. So, if a nasty kobold attempts to raid our friend Despair's corn farm here, we see Despair tries to attack, and we can cast Accelerate Time on the kobold. And the kobold is now affected by aging. That's not how that's supposed to happen. It looks like somehow we've accidentally improved the kobold's manipulation and movement speed. Oh no. Oh, but it has collapsed because it got fucked up by the tiefling. Oh, wait, and it's bad back. Oh, no. It's other health conditions. Oh, good God. Look at them all. Oh, no. Oh, God. Sweet Caroline Y. Oh, my God. All right, that was a bit too vicious for the poor innocent kobold. Bug, what have you done? Just look at the unfeeling bastard. Accelerate Time can be upgraded in 3 different ways. Forward Manipulator, of course, as the middle ability, decreases the mana cost. Mutability increases the potential to accelerate time by increasing the number of targets and reducing resistance chance, and increasing the duration of the time field. Relativity increases the potency of Accelerate Time. Pawns will age faster, enemy pawns will begin to suffer from age-related ailments at a younger age, and other conditions affecting health are accelerated. Also deteriorates equipment by an additional 100 durability. So this is for against equipment with exceptionally high durability. As we've seen, Accelerate Time on its own is insane. Now, I don't think none of these say that they increase how much it grows your corn by, so we're just gonna take it at its word. Yeah, Accelerate Time is an insane ability, and I love it. Reverse Time is sort of an equally mad ability that takes almost as long to explain. Reverse Time applies a field around the target where all physical matter reverses its natural decay. Reversing the effects of time is more difficult and requires more energy than Accelerating Time can only be applied to a single target at a time. When applied to inanimate objects, the effects are instant and will regenerate items and restore material to a previous state. Reverse Time can be used to restore rotting food, decaying equipment, and tainted materials. So this just means you can remove taint, you can repair items. Now, this is only equipment laying on the ground, and it can restore rotting food and corpses. The last part there is really important, it being able to restore rotting corpses, as this allows you to turn corpses that are rotting, potentially, into food. Living tissue will resist instant change and requires a more gradual approach. Any living pawn affected will have decreased movement speed and manipulation speed. Their biological aging will reverse. This can remove many ailments that were caused recently as tissue is restored to a state prior to the ailment. This includes wounds, disease, and age ailments that occurred within the window of time reversal. This will de-age a pawn as well as potentially removing diseases they've caught recently. Reverse Time can be dispelled by and counter the effects. Accelerate Time. Reverse Time, I'm going to say, is not quite as insane as Accelerate Time. As you saw with Accelerate Time, it allows you to one-hit an enemy without any points in it, which is a little bit nuts, as long as you can catch them from far enough away. It can be upgraded in 3 different ways. Reverse Manipulator, of course, decreases the mana cost for Reverse Time. Rewrite History increases the potency. This increases the amount of rot, decay, or equipment damage that is reverted, increases the reverse rate of health conditions, and increases the efficiency of reversal fields surrounding the pawn. Denial increases the success chance and duration of Reverse Time by 10% per skill level, and at its highest level may be used on a recently deceased pawn that is within 2 hours, or a pawn who died within 2 hours in-game. Or looking at the Rimworld wiki itself, it says that 1 hour is approximately 42 seconds, so 84 seconds, that's about less than a minute and a half. Denial is really, really useful when you start having pawns die. But yes, this allows you to walk characters back from death, and this is one of the 2 character classes that can do so. Well, since we still haven't marked any events, I guess we're going to move on to Recall. Recall returns a caster to a previous point in time, cannot be used without an active time marker. So Recall is confusing. It gives us access to Time Mark. The Chronomancer is able to capture their status at a specific point in time and return themselves to that point. This ability does not change time or affect anything else besides the Chronomancer. The Chronomancer will retain any memories they have at the time it is activated. Automated activation from a killing blow can inflict mental break, since the Chronomancer will remember their death. Recall has limited effective time span of 1 day, therefore the time marker expires and must be reapplied. When the time marker is active, MP is reduced by 40 and mana regen decreased by 30%. When set to autocast, the Chronomancer will attempt to maintain a recall marker at all times. This does not affect activation triggers, which will always trigger if the skill is learned and time is marked. To maintain physical cohesion during a recall, the caster will retain all conditions with permanents, missing or added body parts, permanent injuries. All Chronomancer spells are reset following a recall except for recall itself. Okay, so breaking that down, we can activate Time Mark here. This means we now have a physical point for our character where we will come back to, where we have prediction active. Auto heal is active because we're a Warforged. We're at 60% max energy. We are at a whole body. We are not missing anything. We're not dead. Nothing like that. And if we go and attack Fazalor here, as you can see, we've become injured. And these people hate us, but that's not going to change. So at this point, we can go ahead and hit recall. As you see, we've not just gone back in time where we were standing, but we physically transported back to where we were when we activated the time marker. We gain a brief window of invulnerability, and we are no longer injured. As you also see though, we can no longer use recall because our time mark was used. Recall will automatically activate if our character dies, pulling us back to wherever we were in whatever condition we were when the time mark was activated. This is a pretty insane ability. This is our master level spell. And yeah, it can be very, very good to keep active because you of course don't want your accelerating time Chronomancer to die. You need someone to maintain the corn. Recall can be upgraded in 3 different ways. Perfect recall reduces the upkeep per skill level, starting at -40 max MP and ending at -30. So time mark mentions recall automatically activating. That is actually only through the insurance upgrade. So at level 0, it's manual activation only. At level 1, it's 50% on death. At level 2, it's 50% on down, and I believe on death as well. And then at level 3, it's 100% chance to trigger on death or down. Impression increases the duration of a time marker by 4 hours per skill level, with level 0 being 20 hours and level 3 being 32 hours. This, combined with prime cognition, makes it practically impossible to kill a Chronomancer. At least kill them and keep them dead. Yeah, survivability as a Chronomancer is pretty insane, as one might imagine it would be when you control time. So we still haven't predicted an event happening, so it's a little bit harder to talk about Alter Fate, but we're gonna do so anyway. Alter Fate alters the flow of time to avoid predicted disasters. This ability relies on accurate predictions to shape the future. Highly skilled Chronomancers can revert environmental conditions even after they occur. Alter Fate is most effective against environmental conditions. This ability can backfire, however, causing the event to change, become more severe, or trigger the infamous butterfly effect. What this means is, as long as you have prediction active, there's a chance that you will predict upcoming events. You can then, if you don't like those upcoming events, use Alter Fate to change them. This can even warn you when raids are going to happen, so you can just outright avoid them. Sometimes your character will be able to predict incoming storms, weather changes, and so on, and you can activate Alter Fate in order to alter those events. Soothsayer increases the chance of favorable results when using Alter Fate. The primary objective when altering fate is to prevent the prediction. At level 3, it is possible to undo environmental conditions that have already occurred. So if you get things like toxic fallout, vomit rain, and the like, you can activate Alter Fate to get rid of them. Subtlety just reduces the mana cost. I wonder, since we haven't predicted anything, what if we just use it now? Alright, something's gonna happen at some point, I'm sure of it. So, what do I think about the Chronomancer? Obviously, I think the Chronomancer is really, really good for a farmer. They're overall an insane class that it's incredibly hard to talk about. I would recommend, if you have the opportunity to get a Chronomancer on your team, to do so, and I recommend keeping prediction on at all times. I've had people say that with the Chronomancer you don't want to do that because it slows them down, it decreases their work speeds and so on, but being able to know ahead of time when a raid's going to show up, being able to know ahead of time when vomit rain or toxic fallout's going to happen is pretty insane. This is even more important when you're playing with Randy Random, as prediction just keeps you from getting screwed over. Every so often, though, Alter Fate will throw bad events at you, and it can be a giant mess. But what do you guys think about the Chronomancer? Do you think you would end up using it? Let me know in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for now. If you guys are interested in Rimworld of Magic, I'll leave a link to it and Kira's classes down in the description below. As well, you can join us over on the Discord where we like to talk about Rimworld, Rimworld of Magic, magic in video games, and modding in general. I also try to stream at least 3 days a week over on Twitch, anywhere between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. In the meantime, though, just remember, nobody's cares. Thank you very much and good night. And we slap a new box on there. Right, open that up, And then, oh, no, we want to put the box back on there. Bullets go there. The bullets go there. We slide that shut. Do that. And then the murder button works.